Hello, dear friends, welcome to our YouTube channel, USA Football Zone, latest football highlights. Wait for it. This Argentina vs Brazil goal caused the craziest fan reaction you'll ever see. It is the greatest rivalry in international football, an intense battle, something far more than just a game, Argentina vs Brazil. And this was no ordinary match, it was a crucial World Cup qualifier, played on March 25, 2025. Under the floodlights of Buenos Aires' packed and vibrant Estadio Monumental, world champions Argentina stood on the brink of securing their spot in the 2026 World Cup, yet a massive shadow loomed over the hosts. Their superstars, the very heart and pride of the squad, Lionel Messi and Lautaro Martinez, were both sidelined due to injury. Just imagine, 85,000 Argentine fans packed the stadium. Knowing full well that their captain would not be there to lead the team, on the other side, Brazil saw a rare opportunity to seize a historic victory on their arch-rival's home turf. The atmosphere was thick with tension, doubt, and the desperate hopes of both nations. So, what happens when a team stripped of its finest weapons steps onto the battlefield against its eternal nemesis? What followed was pure, unparalleled footballing magic, a moment no one could have possibly imagined, a moment that not only won the match but ushered in an entirely new chapter for the world champions. The opening whistle blew, and the roar echoing from the stands was deafening. Every pass, every tackle seemed to unleash a fresh torrent of noise. The Brazilian players, clad in their iconic yellow jerseys, strove to silence the crowd and assert their dominance right from the kickoff. The Argentine supporters, a vast ocean of blue and white, were brimming with anxiety and emotion. Their chants a blend of defiance and fervent prayer. They needed a hero. They needed a spark, and then, the moment arrived. Just 4 minutes into the match, before anyone had even had a chance to settle in, an attack brimming with incredible pace and extraordinary intelligence tore through the Brazilian defense. A goal, a powerful, stadium-shaking goal that instantly sent shockwaves through the football world. This is the story of that goal, and of the incredible reaction that followed from the fans. To understand why the stadium erupted in such intense excitement, one must first grasp the mounting pressure that had been building over the preceding days. For quite some time, there had been only one topic of conversation. Argentina was in a precarious position. Media reports had confirmed that Lionel Messi was sidelined due to a muscle injury and would be forced to watch the match from home. The situation worsened further when Inter Milan's brilliant striker, Lautaro Martinez, was also ruled unavailable for the game. For any other team, losing two such players would have been a massive blow, but for an Argentina facing Brazil, it felt akin to entering a gunfight without their best marksman. This created a peculiar atmosphere within the stands of the Monumental Stadium. Despite being outnumbered, the Brazilian supporters were brimming with enthusiasm. It was plainly visible on their faces, that swaggering grin, that confident demeanor. They had arrived on their rival's home turf fully expecting to easily defeat a weakened and demoralized squad. They dreamed of silencing the crowd, of plunging this iconic stadium into a somber silence, and of handing Argentina a humiliating defeat right in their own backyard. On the other hand, the Argentine supporters harbored mixed emotions. Clearly, they felt an immense sense of pride in their team. They were the reigning world champions, and the Monumental was their impenetrable fortress. Yet, beneath the loud chants and the waving flags, the anxiety in their hearts could also be felt. It was evident in their clenched fists, in their faces buried in their hands, and in their gazes fixed intently upon the pitch. They held complete faith in their team, but the absence of their number 10 had created a void that felt almost palpable. They were not merely hoping for a victory, they were hoping for a sign, one that would prove that the spirit of this team, the Scalonita, was greater than any single player. The stage was set for a night of either utter heartbreak or history in the making. The match began at a blistering pace, with both teams vying for control. Perhaps emboldened and perhaps a touch overconfident by the absence of Argentina's biggest stars, the Brazilian side went on the offensive, but the world champions were not about to yield easily on their home turf. Just 4 minutes into the match, that historic moment, the one that would prove to be the most pivotal of the entire evening, unfolded in a flash. It was pure Argentine magic. The ball found its way to Thiago Almada, a player brimming with creative energy. He spotted a tiny seam in the Brazilian defense, a passing lane that existed for only a split second. Without hesitation, Almada threaded a magnificent through ball, or, as one commentator aptly put it, A laser-guided pass that sliced the Brazilian defense to ribbons. Julian Alvarez the Spider sprang into action. Amidst the thunderous roar of 85,000 fans, he surged toward the goal. Brazil's defender, Mario, rushed to intercept him, but Alvarez's pace was so blistering that even he stood no chance. He breezed past the defender, took full control of the ball, and found himself face-to-face with Brazil's goalkeeper, Bento. For a fleeting moment, it felt as though time itself had stood still. It had happened, the weight of an entire nation, the fire of a centuries-old rivalry between two arch-nemeses, and the hopes of every single fan in the stadium, all of it came to rest upon his shoulders. And then, with the composure of a cold-blooded assassin, Julian Alvarez calmly rounded the goalkeeper and slotted the ball straight into the net. Argentina 1, Brazil 0. In the 4th minute of the match, it was not merely a goal, it was a statement. It was like a bolt of lightning that instantly dispelled all tension and doubt. A team deemed the underdog, one missing its brightest stars, had taken the lead with the most spectacular opening goal imaginable the very instant the ball hit the back of the net. The Estadio Monumental didn't just erupt in applause, it seemed to explode. The sound was colossal, a wave of pure, unadulterated joy that appeared to engulf the entire city of Buenos Aires. It was the voice of fans who had held their breath for so long, and now, finally, it burst forth in a deafening, ear-splitting roar. In the stands, every conceivable emotion of joy was on display. Complete strangers were clutching one another, embracing tightly, their eyes welling up with tears. People screamed at the top of their lungs, their voices already hoarse with excitement, and jumped so vigorously that it felt as though the entire stadium was trembling. Cameras panned across the crowd, capturing and telling that story. You could see a father hoisting his young son high into the air like a champion, arms raised in triumph. You could see a group of friends tumbling over one another in sheer delight. You could see an elderly man who had likely witnessed this fixture 100 times before, wearing an expression of deep, tearful pride. This was not merely about taking the lead early in the match, it was relief, it was a challenge issued. It was a message to the rest of the world. We are not just Lionel Messi, we are a team, we are champions. That very goal by Alvarez served as the spark of their belief, transforming all that nervous tension into an impenetrable wall of support that no one could breach. For those fans, that 4th-minute goal was not merely a point on the scoreboard. It was the moment they realized they were about to witness something truly extraordinary. And while the supporters of one team erupted in ecstatic joy, a deep, stunned silence descended upon the other side. For the Brazilian fans, who had arrived with such lofty expectations, that 4th minute felt like a scene straight out of a horror movie. The contrast was truly striking, as the Argentine supporters burst into unbridled jubilation. The cameras captured the faces of yellow-clad fans in the stands, faces etched with sheer disbelief. Those confident smiles from moments earlier vanished. In their place were wide eyes and dropped jaws. The most common reaction was that familiar hallmark of footballing agony, hands clasped behind the head, as if attempting to shield their minds from fully processing what they had just witnessed. Fans were seen staring blankly out at the pitch, struggling to comprehend how their team had crumbled so quickly and so easily. They simply looked at one another and shrugged, everyone asking the same silent question. What just happened? Anger had not yet set in. That would come later. This was something else entirely. It was that cold, sinking sensation of being caught completely off guard. They had entered the lion's den hoping the lion would be toothless, only to suffer a brutal bite within the very first minutes of the game. Julian Alvarez's goal did not merely beat their goalkeeper. It shattered their confidence, it silenced their chants and confronted their arrogance with a harsh, unyielding reality. In that single moment, the entire narrative of the match shifted, and the expressions on the Brazilian fans' faces said it all. The dream was fast turning into a nightmare. That one moment marked the beginning of one of the greatest performances in the history of this historic rivalry, and for Argentina, the journey had only just begun. It was as if a floodgate had opened. Just 8 minutes later, Enzo Fernandez capped off a magnificent team move with a goal, extending the lead to 2-0. Although Brazil managed to narrow the deficit through Matheus Cunha capitalizing on a defensive error, Argentina's response was swift and ruthless. Before halftime, Alexis Mac Allister scored to make it 3-1, and in the second half, substitute Giuliano Simeone sealed a historic 4-1 victory by netting his first ever goal for his country. Before the final whistle blew, Argentina had already secured their spot in the World Cup and set a record for Brazil's heaviest ever defeat in CONMEBOL qualifiers. The final statistics were equally brutal. Throughout the entire match, Brazil managed only one shot on target and failed to win a single corner kick. It was a completely one-sided defeat, one that all began with that single goal. Ultimately, that fourth minute was about more than just a goal. It was the spark that ignited an extraordinary performance. It was the moment when a team, playing without its biggest stars, proved that their collective passion was their most potent weapon. It was the moment when 85,000 anxious supporters transformed into an unstoppable force, driving their team toward a victory that would be talked about for generations to come. Julian Alvarez's goal served as a lesson in belief, a perfect example of seizing the right opportunity, and a stark reminder that in the Superclásico de las Americas, one must never, under any circumstances, let one's guard down. You simply couldn't sit back and relax. That goal unleashed a wave of pure joy on one hand, while evoking sheer astonishment on the other. It created the ultimate footballing thrill, the very reason we all live for the game. What was your reaction after that goal went in? Were you one of the millions of Argentines across the globe swept up in the celebrations? Or were you left completely stunned? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love diving deep into the moments that make football the greatest game on earth, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.